Joining me right now is California Congressman Khanna, a member of the House Oversight and Armed Services Committees and the House Select Committee on China. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to see you, and my heart goes out to all of those suffering with the California wildfires back home.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I know this is not your district, but I wanted to get your take on what you can tell us about the impact. Why are we seeing so many wildfires recently? And can you give us any information in terms of what this is going to mean in terms of the damage and the impact?
Well, these are historic and horrific fires. My district is up in Northern California, but I have many friends near the L.A. area. The reason is that L.A. basically wasn't getting any rainfall, so it's particularly dry, and this fire is spreading rapidly. I'm just very grateful to the extraordinary firefighters who were out there all night last night, are still out there trying to contain this.
Yes, as are we. Thank God for our firefighters of this great nation. Let me get your take on the business at hand, Congressman. The Laken Riley Act, the first piece of legislation approved by the new 119th Congress yesterday. 48 Democrats joined with all Republicans to pass this bill. 159 Democrats voted against it, including yourself. The bill requires federal immigration authorities to detain illegal migrants arrested for theft. It allows states to sue the Department of Homeland Security for crimes committed by illegal migrants. And, of course, it was named after Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, who was murdered by an illegal Venezuelan migrant while she was jogging on the University of Georgia's campus. Congressman, you voted against this act. Why?
Well, what happened to Laken Riley was outrageous, and my heart goes out to her family. And any violent criminal, any criminal of a serious offense who's convicted ought to be deported. But my objection to this bill was that the standard was arrest. And in our country, in my view, you're innocent until proven guilty. Why not make sure that someone who has been arrested for shoplifting or arrested for a burglary and has been here maybe 10, 20 years, maybe a DACA kid, that they first get the court process and are convicted before they're deported.
When you say before they're deported, President Trump says he's going to start deporting people who have been convicted of crimes.
Well, conviction, this bill didn't talk about conviction. This bill wants, the law already says that if you are convicted of a crime or if you admit to a serious crime, that is grounds for deportation. What this law was doing is expanding that category and saying it's not just conviction. If you're arrested, then you can be deported. And I believe that you should have the legal process in this country, if you're arrested, to say, look, I was innocent, I don't deserve a conviction.
Well, I mean, it doesn't appear to bode well, the fact that we had, such disagreement over the Speaker and Mike Johnson, and now such disagreement over the Laken Riley Act. President-elect Trump is trying to keep his options open on the best way to implement his agenda, but I wonder if there's going to be any unity on any of this. Here's Trump yesterday. Watch this.
I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if two is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. The debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. Debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Congressman, are you poised to support President Trump's agenda?
Well, it depends what he proposes. If he says let's cap interest card fees at 10%, which he campaigned on, I would support that. If he does what Steve Bannon has said, which is make sure that the billionaires pay more tax in this country, I would support that. By the way, the billionaires were paying 20% effective tax today. They were paying 30 to 35% in the 90s when we had 3.5% economic growth. If he says I want to invest in manufacturing, I would support that. I may support some of his issues on tariffs on strategic products coming from China. But if he's just going to say, I want tax cuts for the wealthy and tax breaks for that, I can't support that.
Well, hold on. You're a California lawmaker. Do you want to see the SALT deduction cap lifted?
I do, within reason. I mean, I think that it should be lifted to an amount that covers working and middle-class families, but that's one issue. What I rather focus on is giving Americans in the working and middle class a raise the minimum wage. What I rather focus on is making investments in this country in manufacturing. But I do support that SALT proposal, but I'm not going to vote for it if it means giving more tax breaks to billionaires and corporations, many of whom have outsourced our jobs.
Okay, well, you just said, look, if he executes what he campaigned on, what President Trump campaigned on largely is securing the border and cutting taxes. Are you going to support those things? Will you support $100 billion that they're looking to get allocated from Congress for the deportations and the security of the border?
Well, it depends on the details. I said I'd support some of the things that.
Well, that's the details. $100 billion they need to carry out these deportations and to secure the border by building the wall. Will you support it? That's the detail.
Well, I think it has to be part of a comprehensive immigration package that we had, by the way, in the Biden administration. And if the details include that we're treating people with dignity, that there are immigration judges, there are more of them that we need, that people actually have their due process. And then if they have committed felonies or crimes, yes, they should be deported. And of course, we need to secure the border. So it depends on the actual language, but no one would just say, okay, I'm going to support $100 billion without even reading the bill. Even Republicans probably wouldn't do that.
You did that with Obamacare, right?
I supported the Affordable Care Act. I wasn't in Congress back then, but I wasn't in Congress. I still looked at the bill. As you know, it was largely modeled after Mitt Romney's efforts in Massachusetts.
I'm laughing because I know Nancy Pelosi said we have to pass the bill before we actually read it. But I want to get your take on whether or not getting the SALT cap lifted is going to be enough for you to get on board with the other issues that Trump is trying to execute. And that includes border security, and that includes raising the debt ceiling, and that includes energy permitting. Are you on board with those things if you get your SALT cap lifted?
No, because
No. Okay.
what the tax breaks are going to do is explode a deficit that could go to $4 trillion of deficit spending. And by the way, that's going to put pressure, as you know, on mortgages and interest rates, because we've got a $36 trillion debt. Now you want to expand it more. Treasury bonds rates are going to go up. That's going to put pressure on home mortgages. Prices are going to go up. It's just fiscally irresponsible.